The video you're about to watch is very violent. There wasn't much light outside of the Manhattan Federal Courthouse in New York, so the air felt like it was on fire, low muttering from the crowd mixed with the sudden flashes of cameras, making a merciless media storm. After Sean Diddy's trial on May 5, 2025, the world held its breath. He was once the unbeatable force of hip-hop. It was impossible to see what was going on in the courtroom because the doors were tightly shut, but the chaos outside was already shaking Diddy's kingdom like a sandcastle in the tide. Former lover Cassandra Cassie Ventura, who had been Diddy's shining light for almost a decade, came out of the dark out of the blue, with shocking news that could shake Hollywood to its core. At 38, she wasn't the young singer-songwriter who was crazy about fame. Instead, she was a strong woman who was ready to face her terrible past and demand justice. Also, experienced lawyer Anthony El Rico, who used to be Diddy's constant legal shield, shocked everyone when he quit the defense team in February 2025, leaving a void full of questions. His sudden exit, which happened at the same time as Cassie's admissions, caused a lot of talk. Was this a betrayal on Diddy's part, or was it the work of an unseen force slowly taking down his defenses from the inside? This trial is more than just a court case. It's a battle between the bright lights of a long history and the dark secrets that are coming to the surface. Every change, every word from Cassie, and every move by Rico feels like a piece of the puzzle that takes away a long-buried secret. Could Diddy handle this storm, or will his business fall apart under the weight of the problems he tried to hide? Come with us into the center of the storm, where power and truth are fighting with all their might to decide the fate of a tale. We need to go back in time to see how Sean Diddy Combs, a symbol of American pop culture, ended up in the defendant's chair in a New York courtroom in 2025. He went from being a poor boy growing up to a sign of wealth and power, and now to a man caught in a legal mess. Sean Combs was born in Harlem, New York, on November 4, 1969. He grew up in a rough neighborhood where the American dream often seemed out of reach. Melvin Combs, his father, was shot and killed during a failed drug deal when he was only 3 years old. Sean was raised by his mother Janice, who is a teacher and part-time model. She taught him both love and strict rules. He showed signs of being bold and driven from a very young age. As a kid, he did odd jobs like carrying newspapers because he wanted to get out of Harlem. He never finished his studies at Howard University, but that's where he learned how to run a business and made the connections that helped him get to the top. Sean, who is now known as Puff Daddy, rocked the music world in the early 1990s. He started Bad Boy Records in 1993, after being fired from Uptown Records. The label took unknown acts like Big and Mary J. Blige and made them famous all over the world, bringing New York hip-hop to a whole new audience. Diddy went beyond music because he had strong senses and a never-ending drive to succeed. Diddy became famous as the American success story of a black man who defied the odds and redefined power on his own terms when he started the fashion brand Sean John in 1998 and later formed a lucrative partnership with Ciroc Vodka. He also produced reality TV hits like Making the Band and threw star-studded parties at his mansion in the Hamptons. But below the shiny surface, dark shapes were starting to appear. Since the late 1990s, Diddy has been in a lot of trouble. There were claims that he assaulted someone in a bar fight in 1999, and there were also constant claims that he manipulated and controlled his personal relationships. Many of these problems were solved quietly, or were no longer seen by the public, but they made people question the real person behind the image. In 2023, a flood of civil cases came against Diddy, accusing him of sexual misbehavior, coercion, and even running a network of sex slavery. In the middle of the trouble was Cassie Ventura, who used to be his partner from 2007 to 2008. CNN aired security footage from 2016 in May 2024 that showed Diddy beating her in a stairwell at the Intercontinental Hotel. The footage shocked everyone in the media. Cassie's later statements about so-called freak-off parties that were allegedly used to hide illegal activities made things even more closely watched. After years of quiet investigations, federal attorneys went on the attack in a big way. More than 100 electrical items were taken from Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles. It was possible to talk to more than 50 witnesses, most of whom were women who worked for or were close to him. Piece by piece, a picture started to form of a very well-run business that was said to be run by him. While Diddy was in pre-trial jail, he asked for bail 4 times between late 2024 and early 2025, saying he needed to talk to a lawyer first. The court said no to all of them, because they were worried about flight risk and witness tampering. Legal experts, like Danny Cevallos on MSNBC on May 3, 2025, saw these moves as last-ditch attempts to save a legacy that was falling apart. At the start of the hearing in New York on May 5, 2025, in the morning, the jury was chosen. Pay attention. The court was given almost 200 names of people who might be important, but Cassie stood out the most. She was once Diddy's girlfriend, but now she was the key witness whose words could change Diddy's fate. Over 20 million people have interacted with the word #Diddy trial on X. Everyone is waiting to see if the once invincible hip-hop mogul can handle the storm or fall apart under the weight of the truths Cassie and others have revealed. As more and more accusations were made against Sean Diddy Combs, his once unshakable business started to fall apart. His ex-partner of almost 10 years, Cassie Ventura, came out of the shadows to become a key witness, shaking Hollywood to its core. Cassie is no longer the pretty singer with big eyes who rides on the coattails of a hip-hop star at age 38. This woman has changed. She is strong, doesn't back down, and has the guts to face her scary past. The day she shared proof that couldn't be argued with was more than just the end of a painful episode. It was the spark that started a historic court case that she had been quietly getting ready for after years of silence. Cassie Ventura was sitting alone in her quiet apartment. The blue light from her laptop screen cast shadows on her face as she shed silent tears. She had once tried to forget that the March 5, 2016 script footage was shot at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. Cassie wasn't the fresh-faced young artist with stars in her eyes when she was 38. The woman watching that film was tougher now that she had time to heal and was ready to face her scars. The world was shocked when CNN showed the video in May 2024, but for Cassie, it was a painful reflection of the years she had spent being afraid and unable to speak out. The hotel hallway played out on the screen, with long shadows made by the dim ceiling lights on the cold marble floors. Cassie stumbled down the hallway in a thin white gown. Her wild black hair flew around in fear. She looked back with wide eyes, scared, like prey, detecting an attacker behind them. There he was, Diddy, coming at her like a storm that couldn't be stopped. He was huge, muscular, and wearing a tight black t-shirt. His face was twisted with uncontrollable anger. In an instant, he grabbed her shoulders with both hands, and the force of his hold made her fall. She was thrown to the ground with a hard push, and her knees hit the marble with a painful thud. She shook and clawed at the tile cracks as she tried to crawl away. He didn't stop though. He kicked her in the side so hard that she shook and gasped for air. Her head hit the floor as another blow hit her shoulder. Her hair covered a face that was twisted in pain. "Do you think you can get away from me?" He let out a low growl that was as sharp as a curse spoken through clenched teeth. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She curled up inside herself and was quiet. Her empty eyes stared into space. The security camera, which was cold and still, caught every moment. Diddy being mean, Cassie being useless, and the hallway being empty and quiet. The video was less than 60 seconds long, but each picture cut Cassie's soul like a knife. The New York Times says that when she gave it to investigators at the end of 2024, it wasn't just a legal move, it was a statement that she would no longer be quiet. She knew it would change her life forever by putting her in the middle of a media storm where she would be looked at closely and be targeted for revenge. Cassie was sick of living in the dark, though. People were furious after seeing the pictures, which showed people in terrible pain and fear. Around 15 million people used the hashtag #CassieTalks on X in just 24 hours, according to Sprout Social. People praised her as the light that stood up to the giant and wrote on the platform that Cassie is fighting not only for herself, but for all the survivors who have ever kept quiet. However, she wasn't after fame. What she really wanted was justice, not just for herself, but also for others who had suffered in silence, just like her. Now that Diddy was being watched by people all over the world, he wouldn't let one movie ruin his reputation. His lawyers, led by 58-year-old Mark Agnifilo, who used to protect Keith Raniere, the leader of the NXVM cult, started a counteroffensive right away. Forbes paraphrased Agnifilo on May 5, 2025, saying that the video was part of a well-planned smear campaign, and that it only showed a tense moment in a bad relationship, not a crime. He showed the $30 million payment Cassie had agreed to in 2023, as reported by Page 6, and asked a scary question: is this the truth, or is this a carefully planned payback story? When he said those things, they shook X, and the hashtag #DiddyDefends got 8 million interactions. Some backed Diddy said the movie didn't have enough background, but most people were furious and called the remark bold and desperate. Someone wrote, "Diddy believes that money and lawyers can cover up the truth, but Cassie changed how the game is played." Even though his team tried to change the story, the film had a lasting effect. It wasn't just video, it was a sign, taking stock, a blow to the idea that Diddy can't lose. The video was just the start though. Cassie dug deeper into her memories and found shocking details of illegal activities that she thought were buried for good. Who were the most disturbing? Prosecutors now say that the notorious freak-off parties and other expensive events were actually fronts for sex trafficking. Cassie remembered a summer night in 2012 at Diddy's home in the Hamptons, which was both beautiful and scary. The air was filled with the sound of electronic music. The clean white walls were lit up by crystal lamps. Celebrities and business leaders raised champagne cups and laughed in the background light. But there was something off about the glitz. A group of young women, some of them only 17 or 18 years old, walked into view wearing tight dresses. Their highly make-uped faces showed blank stares like they were controlled by someone else. Diddy presented them as models while wearing a sharp black suit and showing his famous grin. But as Cassie got closer, she heard him whisper to Gina Hooney, his helper, "Don't forget to get them ready for the VIPs tonight." It sounded like he was closing a business deal because his voice was low and cold. At age 26, Cassie tried to tell herself that this was just how rich people lived. But after she broke up with Diddy in 2018 and read the civil cases that were filed in 2023, she saw a web of abuse. She told NBC News on May 6, 2025, "I lived in his world." It was clear in her speech that she felt bad and determined, but I couldn't see the truth until I left the room. The news set off an uproar. The Guardian says that on May 7, 2025, the FBI expanded its investigation by raiding Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami, taking papers and talking to witnesses. Agents found guest lists, plans, and even bills for extra services that were provided at the parties. Cassie gave important information, like the names of leaders and how to attract girls who are weak, young, and easy to replace and are often tempted by promises of fame. Every fact she told was like an arrow going through Diddy's defenses. Diddy Revealed got more than 10 million views. One post that went popular said Cassie's not just exposing Diddy, she's tearing apart an entire system. Another said those girls deserve protection, not to be exploited. Because you spoke up, Cassie, thank you. People who used to love Diddy's charm have now turned against him. People were calling the parties that used to be seen as fancy jails, and the industry's quiet started to feel like they were taking part. While people were still shocked that Sean Diddy Combs' ex-girlfriend confirmed she would be a key witness in court, something even more shocking happened that made everyone go crazy. Late in February 2025, Sean Diddy Combs' case reached a level of stress that had never been seen before. This was because his legal team was going through a big change. Anthony El Rico, a skilled criminal defense lawyer, suddenly pulled out of the case. This event, along with the shocking information from Cassie Ventura and the frantic efforts to build up the legal team before the May 5, 2025 trial, not only shook Diddy's carefully planned defense strategy, but it also made people wonder if his carefully planned system was falling apart from the inside. With new proof, rumors of outside pressures, and last-minute staff changes, this story has turned into one of the most exciting courtroom dramas in Hollywood, where truth and power are always at odds with each other. In a quiet office in Manhattan, Anthony El Rico, a criminal defense lawyer with more than 30 years of experience, sat down at a wood desk and looked thoughtfully at the withdrawal move he had just written. On February 21, 2025, That short paper with just a few short lines would send shockwaves through the case of Sean Diddy Combs, who is one of the biggest names in the entertainment business. Rico was 62 years old, and had represented John A. Gotti in mafia trials, and Jeffrey Skilling in the Enron scandal. He was not one to give up quickly, but when he said, "I can no longer serve effectively," as reported by the Wall Street Journal on February 22, 2025, it was like throwing a stone into a still lake. It caused a storm of rumors about the reasons for his choice. The fact that Rico quit wasn't just a change of people, it was also the first hole in the legal wall Diddy had built to defend himself against serious accusations of sex trafficking, violence and threats. Reuters said that Rico joined Diddy's team in October 2024, not long after he was arrested. Because he had so much experience, he was thought to be a strong guard who could turn the tide against the growing proof, but after only 4 months he left, leaving a hole that couldn't be filled right away. A person close to the case told the New York Post about it on February 25, 2025. Rico's choice may have had something to do with new papers that Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura gave to the police. It was said that these papers, which included an extra surveillance video from 2017 at a Miami hotel and private emails from Diddy's team, had details that couldn't be defended. This put Rico, a lawyer known for his high moral standards, in a tough spot. Rico wouldn't leave a client because of pressure from the public. CNN's Ailey Honig gave her opinion on February 24, 2025. If he left, it was because he thought the legal or moral risk was too high to go on. Rico's departure happened at a very important time, right after Cassie Ventura, 38, decided to go to court. Cassie, who had been close to Diddy for almost 10 years, became an important witness because of both her personal experiences and the very clear proof she gave. Bloomberg reported on March 3, 2025, that she sent in a video from July 12, 2017, that showed Diddy threatening her in the hallway of a Miami hotel. The tape isn't out yet, but sources in the New York Times said it was very upsetting. It showed Diddy getting angry and putting his fist up to Cassie's face while yelling, "How do you want this to end, Cass?" Cassie hid in a corner and kept quiet, her eyes filled with fear. In addition to the video, Cassie showed emails from one of Diddy's helpers that told people how to delete records from a Las Vegas freak-off party in 2014. As revealed by Rolling Stone on May 4, 2025, this proof turned Cassie from a victim into a flame facing a giant, with the ability to break up the illegal network that prosecutors said Diddy was running. A lot of questions were raised about the timing of Cassie's proof filing and Rico's withdrawal. On X, the word #Rico leave got 5 million interactions in just 48 hours. The account at Legal Eagle in New York City, which has 400,000 followers, posted that Rico broke up with Diddy just as Cassie hit him hard. Random event? Not really. The post got 300,000 likes, which shows how interested people are. In a story published on February 23, 2025, TMZ revealed rumors that Rico had received a threatening email from an unknown source, demanding that he leave the case. The rumors, which were not based on any evidence, added fuel to conspiracy theories. Some Redditors thought that Rico might have been under pressure from outside sources, like business foes or important people with ties to the strange events. Others thought that when he saw Cassie's proof that he was guilty, he could no longer protect Diddy. Rico is not the type to run away. On the Ross Legal Drama Forum, someone wrote something. He probably left because he thinks Diddy doesn't have a good chance. Rico's exit threw Diddy's law team into chaos. Variety says that on February 28, 2025, Diddy quickly hired Susan Neckles, a well-known criminal defense lawyer, who had defended Donald Trump in his 2023 New York case. Neckles, 59, was known for how tough she was in court, and how well she handled big media storms. As reported by The Guardian on March 1, 2020, she asked right away for the May 5, 2025 hearing to be put off, because she needed more time to look over the 96 electronic devices that had been taken from Diddy's homes. But Judge Arun Subramanian turned down the move, saying that the case had been going on for too long. This decision put even more pressure on Nettles, who had to deal with a huge amount of proof, from Cassie's video to papers gathered by the FBI during raids in Miami and Los Angeles. As Cassie continued to give new details, the pressure grew. In an emotional interview with Oprah Daily on May 5, 2025, she said, "The public was shocked by her confession and the gory details about the freak-off parties." Cassie told NBC News on May 6, 2025, about a night in Las Vegas in 2014, when she saw a scared 16-year-old girl being led into a VIP room. Cassie remembered, "I asked Sean if she was okay. Her voice broke. He laughed and said, 'She'll be fine. Let them do their job.'" After that night, Cassie got an email from an assistant telling her to get rid of all the pictures from the event. She said, "I saved that email because I knew the truth would need it one day." The email that was confirmed by investigators was a key piece of evidence that showed Diddy's efforts to hide. Cassie's new proof made Diddy's legal team even less stable. The team had two options. According to the New York Post on May 2, 2025, they could either flatly deny the claims and call them Cassie's smear campaign, or they could admit some actions and blame a complicated relationship. Necholis, who knew a lot about the media, moved toward denial, but on X#, public pressure made this a risky move. A post that went popular said that if Diddy's lawyers can't agree, how can they beat Cassie? The post got 20 million comments, with users saying that Cassie is exposing a whole system, not just Diddy. The legal drama reached its peak 3 days before the trial, when Diddy hired Benjamin Brafman, who used to be Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, as revealed by the New York Times on May 2, 2025. People knew Brafman, 76, for taking on high-profile cases of abuse, brought in to argue against what Cassie and other witnesses said. People saw the move as a sign of despair, though. Danny Savalos, a lawyer, said on MSNBC on May 3, 2025, that the fact that Brafman showed up at the last minute shows that Diddy's team is panicking. They know Cassie is the most dangerous person for them. In just 48 hours, the X#Diddy trial had 25 million contacts. Users thought Brafman was smart, but he couldn't save Diddy from Cassie's video and letters. The law team was in a lot of trouble because of more than just Cassie's proof. On May 4, 2025, the Daily Beast said that Necholis got dozens of emails from unknown people accusing her of protecting a criminal. However, no direct threats were proven. These emails made the team even more stressed. One employee told Variety that they were working 18-hour days and that their plan had to be redone every time Cassie spoke. The heat from the media would not go away. Rolling Stone's cover story on May 4, 2025 said, "Diddy faces trial and his new lawyers have turned the tide." The story asked if Necholis and Brafman, despite their experience, would be able to handle the Cassie storm. Rico's retreat, which started out as a single event, set off a chain of legal problems. The Guardian reported on May 6, 2025, that the FBI's probe grew because of Cassie's papers, which included guest lists from freak-off parties and bills for extra services. These results put more stress on the lawyers, who were already having a hard time refuting facts. A lawyer source that NBC News used said, "We have enough to paint a picture of a criminal network that goes back decades." Together with Cassie's determination, this claim made it almost impossible for Necholis and Brafman to convince a jury that Diddy was innocent or, at the very least, that he was a victim of a bad relationship. But the action didn't stop in the courts. Hundreds of protesters held signs that said justice for Cassie and truth will prevail in New York streets outside of the Manhattan federal courtroom. On May 5, 2025, the New York Times reported that women's rights groups held marches to honor Cassie as a brave person. Across the street, a smaller group of Diddy fans held signs that said things like "Don't believe the media." This division brought out the case's effects, not just in entertainment but in everyday life as well. Every time #Justice for Cassie and #Free Diddy fought on X, millions of people interacted with each other, making the case a societal battlefield. Rico's departure, though no one knows for sure why, was a turning point. It showed that Diddy's legal business had holes in it, from disagreements within the company to pressure from proof and public opinion. Even though Necholis and Brafman were very strong, Cassie Ventura, who turned her pain into a tool, was a very tough opponent. The video from the hotel hallway and the emails about the cover-up were not just proof of what she said, they were the words of those who were being hushed. She gave a lot of information that hurt his case, from the girl's scared eyes to Diddy's cold behavior. But this story is about more than just Cassie and Diddy. Power, no matter how great, can fall before the truth. This is shown by the chaos in Diddy's legal team, from Rico's mysterious departure to Netchally and Braffman's desperate attempts. Rico may have left because he felt he had to or because he knew that no plan could beat Cassie's evidence. Even though both Netchally's and Braffman are skilled, the public favors Cassie in this case. But Cassie, who was once hidden, has become a light of hope, not just for Diddy's victims but for anyone who has been silenced by abuse. The case brings up important issues. What should a lawyer do when a client is being charged with a crime that can't be proven? What good is fairness if power and money can change the system? The answers are in Cassie's determination, the holes Rico left, and the millions of people on X and in the streets who want the truth. This case isn't just a hearing, it's a movement. A woman, a lawyer, and a group of people have fought against a titan. The trial began on May 5, 2025, and people all over the world watched. Can Netchally's and Braffman fix the holes that Rico made? Can Diddy put out Cassie's fire? Will the truth change his legacy? Each piece of proof or statement is like a small piece in a big puzzle that slowly shows the dark sides of an empire that used to shine. With unflinching bravery, Cassie has changed the rules of the game. With his mysterious exit, Rico started a new story. As the pieces fall into place, this story will live on as a warning that truth will always find a way to come to the surface, no matter how long it has been hidden. Diddy's case is quickly becoming one of the most important stories in the entertainment world right now. What started out as a fight between a powerful man and his ex-lover has turned into a court battle that will have big effects on many people. The media is paying close attention to the case, and not just because Diddy is famous in the music business. They are also doing this because the story keeps taking unexpected turns that make it more complicated. Without a doubt, the split in Diddy's law team is not just a sign of uncertainty, it could make it very hard for his defense in the next hearing. The strange departure of important people from Diddy's legal team has led many people to question the validity of the legal strategy he is using. This change alone makes me very doubtful about how ready he is for what could be the biggest court case of his life. If his law team keeps breaking up and not working together, terrible things could happen. In a case this big, if the lawyers don't work together well, it could hurt Diddy's defense and make it more likely that evidence will be misconstrued or thrown out during the hearings. Also, if Diddy's defense isn't well put together, it could lead to big legal mistakes that help the accuser prove their case. This could make it easier for Diddy to face more serious criminal charges. If he doesn't put up a strong defense, he could face both criminal and heavy civil penalties. This would be a huge blow to the reputation of one of the most important people in the entertainment business. From this point of view, Cassie becomes an important character in the court story. Still, her participation has led to ongoing questions about why she is doing what she is doing. Are Cassie's actions really meant to get justice, or are they a long-awaited way for her to get back at someone for a relationship that ended badly, leaving her hurt and angry? Still, the leaked tape and her statement have had an emotional effect on Cassie. Says she's not trying to hurt Diddy, she just wants things to be fair again. But a lot of people are still wondering if she can really separate her fight for justice from her own pain, and if her words are tainted by unresolved feelings. One of the most exciting things about this case is how both sides are in conflict and not sure what will happen. The past between Diddy and Cassie is long and difficult. It starts with a sweet romance and ends with deep unresolvable conflict. Each person has their own reasons for being on the opposite side. That being said, this is no longer just a personal argument. In this case, Diddy is up against a complicated judicial system that is full of power plays and danger. It's not just a matter of right and wrong. This case could hurt him in the long run, especially if he is found guilty and given harsh punishments. His reputation and trustworthiness could be destroyed, and he could face jail time or even death. Cassie may still be called to appear, but Diddy is now dealing with not only her accusations, but also the fact that his own defense team is falling apart. This case isn't just about the law, it shows the bigger problems in today's world: love, power, deception, and getting even. The story of Diddy, Cassie and the holes in Diddy's court defense shows what's really going on behind the scenes in show business. At the end it brings up a deep question. There are a lot of things that happen outside of court that shape what is presented. Can we really trust what is given? What Diddy and Cassie's story is about goes beyond a court disagreement between two ex-partners. It looks at the many parts of modern culture and reflects them back, things like power, fame, trust, and moral edges. It's not just the way things happen that makes you think, it's also the quiet things that show up, like the cracks in the strong people's defenses, or the secret goals of people who used to be closely connected. No one can keep up a perfect public picture forever. Even the most powerful person or kingdom can fall apart in an instant if cracks that have been hidden for a long time become visible. You can't just depend on media manipulation to protect your image. It has to start with living an honest life, acting in an honest way, and being honest with yourself. External genius is just a sandcastle waiting for the tide to come in if you don't have a strong base of ethics. In a power-based society, loyalty is not always given. People who say they will be by your side may leave as soon as they sense danger or an argument. The fact that lawyers pulled out at a very important time is a stark warning that money alone can't keep trust alive forever. Being respectful and honest with the people around you might not get you results right away, but it's the only thing that will keep partnerships together when things go wrong. Emotions can make it hard to tell the difference between right and wrong. When a former partner comes to court with charges, every word is looked at closely, not just for what it says, but also for why it says it. This makes it very hard for people who have been hurt, but still want to be heard. Distancing yourself from your feelings is the only way to stay clear, no matter how hard that may be. Pain should never change the truth, and the strengths of justice should never be used to avoid responsibility. Fame and power don't provide complete safety. When it comes to the rules, everyone is on the same level. Years of fan support were years at the peak of success. One mistake can bring a whole reputation tumbling down. The most dangerous illusion is not fear of being criticized by others, but the idea that one can get away with anything. These days, every story can be looked at again at any time. Being humble and aware are the only qualities that can keep someone from falling victim to their own pride. Truth and faith are not stable ideas. People's views can change, and facts can be skewed. But things that happen in the dark will always make their way into the light. Not everyone has a good chance to tell the truth, but everyone is responsible for what they did in the past. Denying, putting off, or staying quiet only delays what will happen. They can't change what took place. At the end of the day, success can't hide the damage someone has done. Professional wins should never be used to explain away or downplay the harm done to personal relationships. Things that were once thought to be private can quickly become public and have effects that can't be undone. In a world where everything can be seen, shared, and analyzed, quiet politeness might be the only value that can't be changed. People will have learned to live with more responsibility, care, and kindness after losing someone when the truth finally comes out. It will no longer be about who won or lost. Because the scars are real, the trust is gone, and no one can go back to being who they were before. Every turn in the case of Sean Diddy Combs has led to something surprising. These turns have shown not only the disagreements between the people involved, but also the split between Diddy and the public. The hip-hop mogul, who used to rule both the music scene and the business world, is slowly losing his fame, thanks to shocking proof, harsh accusations, and betrayals from people who used to be close to him. Reuters says that 4 straight rejections of bail requests and unstable changes in the legal strategy show not only how tense things are in court, but also how Diddy used to trust the system to protect him being broken. The case is more complicated because of Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura's involvement and the controversial choice of experienced lawyer Anthony El Rico to step down. The Wall Street Journal says Rico quit the legal team in February 2025, claiming professional ethics. He had previously protected the likes of John Abe Gotti. Is the link between Cassie's statement and Rico's exit just a personal grudge, or is it part of a plan to reveal secrets that Diddy has been trying to keep hidden for a long time? Even though the answer is still unknown, these details add to the emotional excitement. The public is still very interested in the case because there are so many questions that haven't been answered. Bloomberg reported on March 3, 2025, that Cassie has gone from being a victim to an important witness. She has proof like internal emails and testimony about the freak-off parties. At this very time, Rico's departure has raised questions about whether there is an unseen hand at work or an unresolvable moral conflict. From the very end, the action is more than just a court case, it's also a fight over truth, power and image. As more of the case's dark sides come to light, will Diddy's company hold strong or fall apart? The answer is still up in the air, waiting for the court's decision and the public's attention.